Good day, Brutal Planet listeners. This is Eric Peterson, quarantining from Salt Lake City. And today I am joined by Doc and Lilith of Luna 13. How are you guys today?
Doing well.
We're doing awesome. Thank you.
Are you guys quarantining anywhere?
Yeah.
We're in Joshua Tree, California. So we're in the mountains, but yeah, we're quarantining all right.
Yeah, it's probably a good place to be right about now.
Yeah.
It is. It's awesome out here, actually.
Yeah, we love the desert.
I love the desert too, because I mean, Salt Lake City's high desert, but I love the desert. Yes, I would agree.
And we were out there not too long ago.
Yeah.
We played, I think it was Club X before they closed.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's sad that in this time of with everything going on, so many places are closing. I'm sure you guys have heard a lot of different places just not there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It sucks. I mean, a lot of the places we went on tour with earlier this year have already closed down, like places in Texas and stuff like that. So it's been rough.
Yeah, that is rough. And it just seems to getting worse and worse and worse. And it makes me nervous that live music is not going to be the same as it used to be.
I hope so. I mean, but not hope so. I hope that we don't have to run into that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I wanted to start off by asking you guys about your music. You guys have a very unique sound that incorporates a lot of industrial black metal mixed in with some techno. Would you guys say that's a fair description of it? And what would you like to add to that?
I would say that's fair.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's funny because we come from two different music backgrounds. Like I'm literally I grew up like a black metal elitist. Like if you would have told me when I was young that I was going to be in like an industrial or even like dark bass music, I would have thought you were nuts. She has a more eclectic background than I do, but we're definitely original, and we're excited about the sound that we create.
Yeah, and so is it literally just, I mean, I've not seen the live show, but is it literally you two on stage, or do you guys have other people that are on stage with you?
It's just us. Yet occasionally we've had fire performers and dancers, occasionally but as a band, performing wise, it's just the two of us.
Yeah, it's just us. And, that was a part of my motivation. I was a bass player in black metal bands growing up, and I couldn't stand being in bands anymore. I would get to a certain level, and I'd always feel like there was someone in a band or one of the members that was just holding the whole damn thing back. And I'm not going to say it was my first reason for getting into the type of music, but it played a big role where I wanted to be in a project that I could push entirely on my own and not have someone else in the band weighting it down. And I did get into dark, bass music. I actually did. I saw Prodigy live in London, and while I was watching them, it crossed my mind, if you did a black metal version of this, it would be completely unique and possibly one of the heaviest things you've ever heard. And so the combination of, I got sick of being in bands and seeing the Prodigy live, those are the two things that kind of started the process of Luna 13.
Nice. And so to both of you, what would you say to people who've never heard your music influentially? Where do you draw your music, your music?
Mine is such a kaleidoscope of different things that for me, what I do, I try to bring from within, the things that I like the most. Yet, I would say some of my biggest influence have been, oh man.
I can hop in there on my side, and I am still greatly influenced by black metal. And You'd be surprised that I don't listen to a lot of electronic music. I do like trance music, and there are moods I get into where I like ambient music. But like last night, I was up listening to Morbid Angel till like 3 a.m. I am really motivated still by black metal bands. Yet it's a saturated world. I also do like a lot of industrial too. Like Ministry is a band that's also a big inspiration of mine. But I would really say right now, like Lustmord, who's like black ambient, Possessed, which is probably my favorite band out there right now, and Ministry are probably my biggest influences.
Nice. And so were you said you were a black metal elitist. Would that... I mean, who would you consider your elite black metal bands?
Deicide, easy.
Nice.
I mean, that band like changed my life when I heard them. I got into metal early. Like I was listening to like Metallica in elementary school and stuff like that. I actually got my whole school in Lake Havasu, Arizona, to listen to metal because it was kind of banned in our city in the 80s. But when Deicide came around, that was, I would say, Deicide and Morbid Angel. Possessed was also a big influence of mine growing up. That's why it was so cool we got to play with them and open for them.
Nice.
That was a real honor for me. But yeah, I would say Deicide, Death, and Possessed were and Celtic Frost. Let me add them too.
Oh, yeah,
my favorite bands growing up. Yeah,
that would be a definite one. So I mean, your influences are very much the roots of black metal. I mean, that is the starting point for a lot of black metal stuff.
It is black metal first, and I would say industrial is a distant second. I've spent more time listening to black metal than I do anything else.
So when you were growing up in the 80s, what was it like being into that and not having any of that be around, basically? I mean, I'm thinking back to those days because I was around those days. And I mean, it seemed like the hardest thing I was out there was Slayer and Metallica.
Well, where I lived in Lake Havasu, first of all, like Metallica even came around years later. Like I had heard about Metallica when I was like 6. Now, also, I have to tell you, I was a bass player in elementary school, and I was in punk bands. By the time I was in junior high, I was already in a slew of bands. I mean, that's literally how long I've been in music.
Nice.
I got into Metallica in really like elementary school. I even stole a cassette of Possessed at a swap meet. But in the city I lived in, we would have to wait for the swap meet, which would people from California would bring in and sell these death metal cassettes. And it was years later after they Possessed was out for a long time before I even got into them. And so was Deicide and bands like that. So I got in them Deicide was later. They were more like towards the early 90s.
Yeah.
At that time, I was already playing in bands and stuff like that. But no, we had to wait for the swap meet for the Californians to bring in all this underground death metal. And there's always this one guy at the swap meet that would sell death metal. And I would just sit there and go through Voivod, Celtic Frost, Possessed. Now, meanwhile, these bands have been out for years and we were just getting them there for the first time.
Yeah, that makes sense. So Lilith, did you think of anybody that you could gravitate your influences towards?
Well, I honestly have been inspired by so many different artists, yet I cannot particularly find an artist who's ever really done exactly or like in some kind of way the way I want to do what I do.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily like a main modeling after or anything like that, because I wanted to do something that I've wanted to see in music from women, yet I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
And I mean, heck, I actually grew up with kind of a bit of a really strict family that kept things really based off and Catholic and homeschooled up until the point I was in junior high. So my knowledge of music back then was, I mean, my dad was a music teacher, so pretty much I even got in a state honor band playing clarinet and, classical kind of stuff. Yet when I would find, basically the stuff that was contraband at home, I would like eat it up wherever I could find it. And I didn't always know who I was listening to or where I was finding it. But like every time I found metal, I was like, fuck yeah, I need this in my life.
Yeah.
But I mean, once I finally was able to start getting a feed of my own music when I got into public school, I was listening to everything from like Korn, Arch Enemy, Cradle of Filth. I mean, all the OTEP. But I mean, I also love things like Nina Simone and Queen and David Bowie, and I mean it's just all over the place. So I kind of just
even as unique as your voice is, you can hear those aspects in your voice. I mean not per se the tones and stuff, but some of the rhythmic lyrically, you could hear some of that stuff. So it's interesting that you say like Bowie and that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, I love Bowie. I actually have a tattoo of his last album on my chest.
Oh dear, oh nice.
Yeah, the Black Star album.
And then she actually, originally Luna 13 was a solo project, and the thing was literal. When I saw the Prodigy live, I'm like, I'm going to do like an actual real satanic bass metal music and make it like maybe one of the heaviest sounds out there. And I ended up performing at Burning Man. And I actually headlined Burning Man.
Wow.
I was by myself. And the lady who booked me really liked what I was doing, but she said, I really think what you would do would be significantly better if you had a front woman or, just someone singing. Just because she goes, I think your music's great. I just think it'd be better with a show. So I put out an ad looking for a singer right after performing at Burning Man. Actually, not a singer. I was looking for someone to actually visually impress people while I was doing what I'm doing. Because as much as we're part bass music, I'm part pre-recorded and part live. Every sound that comes out of Luna 13, I have created, by the way. I do not download samples. I don't do any shit like that at all. Everything has got to come from me or I won't do it.
Nice.
So I'm comfortable with the pre-recorded side of what we do because it's all mine. And also live, it's one of the hardest music projects I've ever been in because what I do have to do live is a lot. So while I'm busy, I wanted someone up there to just simply entertain. And she came in, and it was funny because she kind of has a David Bowie personality. She's much quieter than I am, but she's reserved, and she also worked at a haunted house.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And so when she answered the ad, she worked at a haunted house. I wanted someone to be scary, and her personality was actually genuinely dark. Like her personality to me, what got her in was the fact that there was no superficialness. She was definitely different, and she had a scary element to her. That I thought would add to what we were doing. So then when she came in, she was originally, joined Luna 13 just to be a visual component.
Yeah.
And she then said, I want to sing too. And I'm like, fuck yeah, do it. If you want to do it, go for it. And then the last 3 albums are when she's actually singing on it. The 2 before, she was just doing the visuals and vocal samples for me.
Nice. And so, I mean, visually, your show is unique to itself. I mean, the closest thing I could come to saying visually what you would be compared to would be like a Watain.
Yeah, I've got that before.
Well, that was so cool because the dark element for us, it's not a joke. We like if you were in our house right now, our whole house in Joshua Tree is like, it's satanic art from top to bottom. We do rituals. We are witches by nature. So we kind of live in this. And because we live in it, it doesn't really sound that dark to me because we listen to all these dark bands. It's a part of our life. So we started getting compared, like the whiskey, the people that worked at whiskey actually started saying that Luna 13 and Watain might be the 2 darkest bands we have ever had on our stage. And that was huge for us.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
cool.
When we were on tour, we had 2 locations stage the place after we left because they believe we brought some of this satanic toxic energy with us. And we knew then we were onto something, that we were scaring the shit out of people.
Yeah. Because I'm a huge Alice Cooper fan. So I think back to, visually, I mean, you guys, it's the progression of that. I mean, we all think back. I remember Alice Cooper, being on the Muppet Show, but I also remember visually being scared by Alice Cooper's, but that's what drew me to it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just a progression.
My dad took me, the first movie I ever saw was Alice Cooper's Nightmare. My dad is still a musician to this day. I mean, my dad still performs live and everything. And so I grew up we both grew up with dads that were musical people. Mm-hmm. Yet my dad was, he was heavily into rock, but loved Alice Cooper. And I saw Welcome to Our Nightmare. I think that's the name of it. Yeah. When I was like 1 year old. And I mean, it's like, it might be the first memory I have was how awfully scary that was. And, but yeah, no, I could say he was definitely an influence. Once I heard metal in the sound like Metallica and thrash, it's like the first time I heard the song Battery, my life was changed. And I was literally in elementary school. Yeah. And I wanted to be a bass player right there and then. Pre that, it was Alice Cooper. It was definitely Alice Cooper. Yeah,
yeah, and to me, he's the father of that imagery that we use today.
That's right.
So let's talk about the new album, God.Dis. Is it just God.Dis? Is that kind of like a play on words for you guys?
It goes either way.
We say it both ways.
Do you?
It has multiple meanings. God.Dis is basically saying God.Dis, which is the god Pluto, his pattern. Yet it also means goddess, and it also means to diss God, to like completely renounce God. So we thought the name could be something that had some feminine power in it, but it also could be downright just dark, to diss God.
Yes, that's true. So what was the recording and the writing process like for you on this album?
Very interesting, because especially this all kind of went down during the heat of the beginning of the pandemic and everything, and the lockdowns, and so we really just all we could focus on was like honing in on the music. We weren't going out anywhere or anything like that, so it was very focused, very
very true. Yeah, no, and I write the electronica component is another part that I really, really like, because I have the type of brain where I'm constantly writing songs, top to finish in my head. I'll stay up at night with just songs going through my head. And it's been a blessing and a curse, because I've had to create a lot of problems in my life. I have a brain that is constantly creating music. And so for me, electronica is the most satisfying creative element, because I don't rely on anybody. If I want to get up at 5 a.m, start working on a song that's going through my head, I can do that. I don't have to call John or Bob and say, hey man, can you get a drum track going? I have to do all of this stuff, which the drum programming of Luna 13 is all mine, and that is really advanced. I mean, that's for me. That's where I put that black metal from the 80s. I really try to capture that in our drums. But I'll have drums and heavy bass lines just constantly rigging through my brain. So because we weren't touring, we had to cancel tours too. And I think the pandemic hit us hard, because we were just starting to, as a band, when your turn is coming and you can tell and you can feel it because you're watching it happen, we were right there. And so we just had a couple massive shows. We were starting to draw everywhere we went. So it hit us real hard that we had to go from that to now going, we might have to start all over again. When this thing's done, and just start this whole process all over again. So it really sucked for us.
But what came out of it was a pretty damn good album.
To me, it's our most complete album, because of the fact that we are a merging of black metal and bass music. That is, and I'm aware that those two genres just like hate each other, which I think is part of the fascination of why I like doing it, is because it's so controversial. But it is where I feel like the sound I really was working towards was perfected. This was the album where I can say it's the, like, if you listen to some albums have more of a bass music element, some of them have more of a black metal element, like Goat Witch does.
Yeah.
This one is solid, and it's an actual merging of the two genres I set out to kind of merge.
Nice. So are there, I mean, I know all the songs are to you guys are your babies, but are there any songs on the album that you are drawn to that you say, fuck yeah, that's the song, I like that song?
I have, I would have to say a few because Sacrificial Lamb and Undead have a bit of a special place for me because I've been definitely writing more lyrics than on this album than previous albums.
Yeah.
And those ones had a lot of meaning from like everything, you know, that's been going on, and also from, you know, just like how I've wanted to paint my own kind of lyrics.
Do you want me to hop on you?
Yeah, sorry.
I like Beast Within. It's one of my favorite songs on there. And it's funny, I wanted to do like a bass metal version of my own sound, but there's something like Sad But True from Metallica.
Yeah.
And the Beast Within kind of came up that with me. There are moments that I take turns in the songs that I like. The song Illuminati Lucifer Party, I really like because I have a video in the back of my head that's going to be going out with that song at one point in the future. And I think that when people see the video and the concept I had and how dark that actually is, I think people are going to really like that song. And there are moments where I really, really dig that song. But I like the heavier stuff. Black Star Shine, The Beast Within are probably my two favorite songs on there.
Nice. Cursing the Sky is definitely one of mine.
Cursing the Sky is a song we agreed simultaneously that should be our first song because I don't think either one of us thought it was our favorite song, but we agreed that was a song that we should probably push first. Nice.
So when it comes to you guys, when somebody's never heard of you guys, this album, once they hear this album, I think they're going to be more intrigued, and I think what's going to end up happening is they're going to need to see you guys live. What can people expect from a live show from you guys?
Well, we're a very interesting live band that has very interesting reactions to people saging the place when we're done, to people actually not getting it like at all, and that's just being honest. They're like because of the way we're set up, we can have people say, you know, what if you guys have a band or what? I'm like, this is what this project is. We're not going to change this because I first of all think it's a little bit revolutionary. We're a little bit ahead of our time, and yet we are. If I could just be honest, the few times we went on tour, we've had headlining bands not want to play after us because our sound, that sound you hear. When you hear it live, it sounds like you're getting the shit beat out of you. I mean, the level of bass and how low it actually gets live and what it actually feels like on a really good sound system, it's punishing. And I don't think people realize how dark this band is until they see it live. When they feel the energy of it and they hear how low that the sound is and how heavy it is, it's a shock for some people.
And that's what it should be. I mean, the album should be a tease to get you to the show.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And Lilith is like, she's a awesome performer. And it's funny because I've never told her ever what she should do, ever.
I get free reign.
My only advice, I said,
nice.
I have a lot to do because even though this is bass music, I'm busy up there. I mean, I make the joke, I can't even get stoned before I perform. I can only get stoned after I perform. Because if I hit one wrong button, it throws the whole thing off because I'm choosing to do this live, you know, and like we've actually even played EDM shows before where like a DJ would be like, why don't you just kind of do what we do? And I'm like, man, there is nothing like when I'm up there pressing buttons and feeling that bass drop underneath me. And I'm also doing a lot of the drum tracks too live. I'm like, when you feel you're doing it live, you have no idea what you're missing. I mean, it's like doing this thing live, it's pretty punishing and pretty powerful. But she's when she came in, I said, I'm busy. I have a lot to do out there. So you do whatever the fuck you want. Your job is just to entertain those. So all the things that she did, she's come up with entirely on her own. Including the vocals, the lyrics, how she sings. She really kind of came in and took that role real strong.
Nice. So my last question for you guys is, I've been asking this question to everybody all year since the pandemic basically came about. Tell me a song by you guys, by Luna 13, that best describes the state of the world today.
Sacrificial Lamb.
Nice.
And it's really funny because that's true. I'm going to say Illuminati Lucifer Party. That the world of conspiracy that came out of QAnon bugged the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
I was so disturbed by QAnon and that bullshit. When I hear the satanic, the Illuminati Lucifer Party was a direct jab at them.
Nice.
And because of how involved this year was with like conspiracy type stuff, I put Illuminati Lucifer Party number one. When I hear that song, it takes me right into the frustration I had with QAnon, and then Sacrificial Lamb number two, which Lilith wrote all that, which is about the state of the world that we're in right now.
Yeah.
That went on over the year.
Excellent. That's a very good answer. I mean, I kind of knew where you guys were going to go with it, but it's good to have you confirm that for me. So,
yep.
So, well, guys, I appreciate your time. Everybody, go pick up your new album, God.Dis. It's out now, and you can listen to it. And you can then, when all this is over, you can go experience it live.
Yes.
Thank you so much for bringing us on.
Of course. It's been an honor to have you guys, and I'm looking forward to you guys hopefully coming back to Salt Lake and shaking some things up here in Salt Lake.
Oh, yeah,
I could see that being top on our list. It's an area we want to go back to, so that'll happen.
Good. Well, thanks again, you guys, and you guys stay safe.
Awesome.
You too. Thank you.
Yes.
You have an amazing night now.
You too.